Hey y'all, I'm Angela Barrett, and this is Talking South Carolina. Now y'all take a load off and listen, because no matter if you just moved here, thinking about moving here, been here your whole life, or you just plain nosy, bless your heart, I'll have something for you. Like, who's living in High Cotton? Who's madder than a wet hen? Places to go if you got a hankering for fried chicken, and where you can go to get drunk as Cooter Brown. We'll talk pig pickings, cow tipping, tillions, hay rides, who's buttering whose biscuits, what's a case quarter, and lots of other stuff. So stay a while. Y'all, it's gotta be a hoot.
This episode of the Talking South Carolina podcast has been brought to you in part by HomeMattersSC.com, professional real estate services and marketing in the Midlands of South Carolina for people who want more, and by SimplyArley.com, video editing, podcast production and consulting, graphic design, you name it. And now she's a realtor by day and a podcaster by night. Here's your host of the Talking South Carolina podcast, Angela Barrett.
Hey guys, today I have with me no other than Cody Webb. Cody, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me, Angela.
Absolutely. I know we were talking right before, but I remember the days of you being barefoot and playing your guitar with a beer bottle. I think you probably
Those
still at
were the days.
Yeah, that you were probably still at Clemson at that time.
Yeah. Who knows, man? It was. I know back in the day, I look at some of the old pictures and I just kind of laugh. But for the last probably 10 years, I've been like, you know what? It's hot, but I'm going to wear jeans and boots. And I feel like I've just kind of hit that point in my life where if it's 100 degrees outside, you know what? I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops. I don't care what y'all think.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So now, speaking of going to Clemson, and I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. You actually have a degree in mechanical engineering?
That's right. Somehow, by the grace of God, I would never do it again. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but it was, I did not know what I was signing up for. Let's just say that.
So you're not only talented, but you're very smart as well, because I understand that is not a degree for the weak of heart.
Well, no, that was the problem. I wasn't smart enough to do it, but I was just too crazy to quit. So
well, that's a good thing.
I somehow finished it.
Well, good. So, back in the days of, your early days, you were playing a lot with your dad. Was there an uncle too, or did he kind of travel with y'all? How did that work?
Well, I had a couple of uncles, a couple of my dad's brothers who came to the shows a lot, but they didn't actually play with us. But yeah, my dad is kind of the one who got me doing this. I always say he's the one that got me into this mess to begin with, because when I was growing up, he'd already written a couple hundred songs, and I knew most of the songs by heart, knew every word. And when I was about 12 years old, he let me start practicing with his band on Sunday afternoons. And there were a couple of really good guitar players in that band, so I learned a lot from them. And we started playing local festivals and private parties and things like that. And, throughout high school, my dad and I played a lot of acoustic shows together, a lot of acoustic duo shows. And when I got to Clemson is kind of the time I started playing a lot by myself. And he would come up sometimes and we'd play downtown Clemson. But that's when I really started playing, all over the state a lot more, and visiting Nashville, and sort of starting to try to figure out how to make a career out of it.
Right. And your first single, She's Carolina, that was in 2016, right?
I believe it was 2016. That sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that one. Now, take us from 2016 and kind of, at some point in time, you co-wrote a song that Luke Combs put on his one of his albums that Memories Are Made Of. But take me, how we get where we are.
So I'll just kind of give you a crash course on how it all happened. I mean, so Luke and I moved to town around the same time. I'm not exactly sure when he moved, but there's another guy who actually moved to Nashville the same day as I did, named Ray Fulcher, and we all three wrote that song. So I met Luke at Tin Roof at a writer's round. He was playing I think he was playing the round before I was, and I heard him sing, and I was like, man, this guy can really sing. There's something going on here. So we talked, and I believe we were up the next day or 2 days after that. We wrote a song at his apartment, and then we probably wrote 5 or 6 more times, after that. And I remember he was getting ready to cut his EP with 6 songs, and I already had one song we wrote together that I thought he was going to put on it, but turns out Kenny Chesney released another song with the same title, so it didn't go on his record. But he's like, man, I really want like a Springsteen kind of vibe song, and I had that guitar lick on that song in my phone notes for a long time, and he really liked it, and we wrote it like 2 days before he went in the studio and wound up putting it on there. Man, we had no idea that he was going to do what he did, and that album will be triple or quadruple platinum or whatever it is. And, he's just absolutely exploded in the next couple of years, and it was really fun to watch and be a small part of. So we probably wrote the song in 2015, and I think his EP came out in late 2015, early 2016. Then it was released again on his first album and his deluxe album, and on vinyl. So it was released several times, which was really cool. And since then I've been through 3 managers, 3 booking agents, a record deal, a pandemic, and moves. It's just been a crazy time, lots of different bands, and it's just been a roller coaster, but something I really wouldn't ever trade. But it's kind of got me into a place where I feel like I've been through the whole mess. I know who I am as an artist. I have a great team. I got a lot of good songs I feel excited about. I have a great fan base, an incredible band, huge support system, and like I said, team, and just I've got my head down, and we're just pushing forward, and trying to grow it every day. And I'm just trying to make good decisions and see where this roller coaster takes me. So
yeah. I imagine it is quite a roller coaster for sure. Tell me about, there's been some talk, and it hadn't been that long ago, probably the end of last year maybe, about a song that had some sensitive religious content. And tell me about talk about roller coasters, because I think y'all are really going through it then. Tell me about that song. If Daddy Didn't Have a Truck, is that the name of it?
That's right.
Right.
So that's actually an outside song. I think every song that's come out in the last couple of years is a song that I've written or co-written. And that's one song that friends of mine wrote that I was not a writer on. So I heard the song and fell in love with it. And I'm like, man, why has nobody put this song out?
I'd have never known that working hard ain't what makes you rich, and hitting your knees or a low gear is how you get out of a ditch. If I didn't grow up in a small town, right there in between an old square body Z71 and John 3:16, I'd have never known Jesus loves me or fell in love with kicking up dirt. I'd have never known how forgiveness or a carburetor works. Only the good Lord knows how a good old boy like me.
So we decided to put it out. And I posted a video of my band and I playing in Guitar Center on the way to a show in Alabama one night. And I got a message from TikTok saying that the song contains sensitive religious content and it couldn't be promoted and may not reach its full potential or whatever. And I kind of sat on that for a couple of weeks. And the more I thought about it and didn't do anything, it just bugged me over and over. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to say something, just how I feel about it and see how people feel about it. And honestly, that post just kind of blew up. And every time I talked about that video, everybody felt the same way,
right?
That I did. It was just kind of ridiculous and scary, really, that social media has such an influence on what we see in our younger generation that, these kids are trying to figure out who they are, and social media is able to manipulate that. And that's what really scared me for my daughter. Like, man, I don't want her on these social media applications and all if they're going to be, just making her into somebody that I wouldn't, and a lot of people agree with it. And honestly, since then, it started kind of a snowball on social media that just kept on growing and growing. That song really did a lot for us. It was kind of the first song we've had that did well streaming wise. And the one after that did even better, that I wrote about my daughter, Don't Grow Up Too Fast. And,
right.
Since that day, I guess about 10 months ago, we went from probably about 50,000 followers to over 1 million followers across social. So it's been huge growth and just really fun to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, it was a big statement And glad you did it. Glad you did it. And speaking of daughters, you got another one on the way, don't you?
Well, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I got a little boy on the way.
Yeah.
So we're going to have one of each, and I think we're calling it quits then. So.
We'll see. We'll see. Oh, and happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to get to what is going to be your new release, I think, in a couple of days from now, actually. But from She's Carolina to this new release, what's been the favorite of yours so far? Yours, not fans.
Yeah, I think personally, oh man, it's one of those things that kind of changes as you go. You know, you get excited about songs, but the one that's been the most, I don't know if I should say life-changing, but definitely career-changing is Don't Grow Up Too Fast. I heard about my little girl. You know, it was a very personal song. I don't think it's a really great song because, I mean, I guess if you look at it from the standpoint that it was just very real to me, I don't think it's a very, from a songwriter standpoint, a great song, but it was a very, like I said, personal and real song to me, and I never really planned on putting it out, but we decided to, 5 years later.
Sure.
Or not, I guess 4 years later after my daughter was born.
When you find out you're gonna be a dad, 9 months goes by way too fast, and you didn't know what you didn't have till you have it. And then you're losing sleep, staying up all night. Can't believe how much she cries, but every tear and every smile makes you fall a little deeper. I never thought I could love like this, I guess. Every star and every wish came true.
It's just blowing my mind every day to see how many people have streamed that song. It debuted at number 13 on the U.S. Country iTunes charts, and that was just mind-blowing for me in the time, just how many people went and streamed it and downloaded it. And I think we had one video that got, I think it was just under 25 million views across like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And it was just crazy to watch that thing take off like it did for a little while. So that was a huge blessing, and kind of lit a fire under me to keep working at it and write more songs like that. It's fun to see them work,
Yeah. And I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think because the song is so real is what makes it probably that good. I mean, and how many followers,
sure.
Because it's raw, it's real. And I think that's great. So sorry to disagree, but I'm going to disagree.
No, I totally see what you're saying. And, I think that's part of the problem is the songwriters, we get so into like, well, what makes a good song? And sometimes you get away from just the rawness of the emotion that comes out of, just to put it out there and be real vulnerable and honest,
Yeah. So let's talk about Tin Cup, which is, again, being released in 2 days from now? 3 days. Anyway, the 19th, I think, right?
That's right. Yeah, 10 King, yeah.
I did my timeline at least, or at least some of it.
Yeah.
So tell me about Tin Cup. And by the way, I love how the upbeat.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a 90s country feel. It's like, Tin Can. And I wrote it with my dad and my friend Trent Jeffco, who's you probably have heard around there if you're from the area. You mentioned Spinners a while ago.
Hollywood? That's what I call him.
What's that?
I call him Hollywood.
That's a good name. But I wrote it with Trent and my dad, so it's a really special one to me. Trent's kind of one of the folks that got me into songwriting a long time ago. And but yeah, it's a very upbeat kind of 90s country feel, and will probably be the I don't say the fastest, most upbeat song in our set now, which is going to be fun to play. So I'm really excited to add that to the set and get it out there on Friday.
Yeah, and I'm really glad for the upbeatness for lots of reasons. I think over COVID, a lot of you guys in the industry, I mean, there were a lot of that lull, the slow, rightly so, where we all were in life at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad to see it coming back. I'm like, yay, something we can actually dance to. But so tell me, I know you said you wrote it with them, but how'd you come up with Tin Can and the story behind Tin Can?
Honestly, I just came up with that idea on the way to the writing. I was driving. We rode at my dad's house that day, my parents' house, and Trent met us there. And I was driving there, just kind of going through some old ideas. And I kind of had that melody, or not melody, but I guess the music to that song playing on guitar. And I was just going down the road, and man, that's just one of those that just popped out of the sky. That just God just slapped on my brain out of nowhere. Just like I had the idea to crush my heart like a tin can and kick it on down the road, and I have no idea where it came from, but it just popped in my head. And as soon as I threw it out, Trent loved it, and Daddy did too, and we just kind of started working on it. We wrote for a long time that day. We probably wrote, I'm gonna say 6 or 7 hours straight on that song, and tried a bunch of different things with it, and completely rewrote the chorus at some point. Like kind of started over on the song halfway through it. But it was kind of a booger to get through, but I like how it turned out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. So, what comes first for you, or does it happen different each time? Lyrics or the melody or the music?
I get asked that question a lot, and I think it's different for each song, but my normal, I guess, process would be having an idea that I'm excited about, like a lyrical idea, written down on my phone. And usually when I have that lyrical idea written down, I already sort of have a melody of how I would sing that that phrase or, those lyrics a little bit. And sometimes that changes in the process, but I mean, the biggest thing is when I have a lyrical idea, I try to say to myself, like, what does that sound like? What does that make me feel like? Is it does it make me sad or happy? Like, does it need to be upbeat? And that's kind of how I get started. And I have a lot of musical ideas already recorded on my phone that sometimes can match up with those lyrical ideas. But to be honest, songwriting is one of those things. And I've written hundreds of songs, and every time I write a song, I'm like, okay, we did that, but I have no idea what I was doing. Like, how do we do another one? You still feel kind of clueless every time a little bit, but it always somehow works itself out. But
right,
I think that's part of the magic of it. When you get a good song, it's just like, man, I have no idea how I did that, but there it is, and I'm glad I did.
Right. So now, I know you've written most of your songs, but now with the help of your father and friends sometimes, or most of them by yourself.
Most of them are co-writes. Some of them have been, writes on my own, but I love co-writing, and that's sort of part of the culture in Nashville, especially is co-writing. And I think it really keeps you going, because if you don't really make an appointment to go write with somebody, sometimes the songwriters will get lazy and not finish the song or something. But going to an appointment with somebody else who's also very talented, some people are better at lyrics, some better at music. It just makes it a lot. I don't know, just like really expands your brain, expands your capability as a songwriter, in my opinion. I think, I've written with probably over 100 different writers, but I have my 5 or 6 that I know I can go to for a certain kind of song. Like if I have, like a family, emotional kind of song, I know the guy I need to go to write that song. If I have like a fun, upbeat musical song, I have a guy I go, so I have a lot of co-writers I trust to go to with an idea. And it took me a long time to learn that, because I feel like I wasted a lot of ideas through the years, not taking them to the right person to work on them with. And I feel like that's another thing I've kind of dialed in the last few years, who I'm writing with.
Well, that's good. And I know there was something, was it John Boat?
Yeah.
There was a bunch of you, I guess, that helped on that, right? Was that?
So I started it with a buddy who's not even a songwriter. I just started at his house one night. We were having a good time and kind of had the idea. And he called a songwriter buddy over to his house, and we kind of worked on a few lines. And then Trent and I got together and pretty much wrote the song. And then I took it back to the other songwriter guy, and we kind of tweaked some of it. So it was probably 4 or 5 step process to making that song. But
right,
we put everybody was a part of it. So.
Tell the fish to have no fear. We got a live well full of beer, and we ain't catching nothing but a buzz while we out here. 5-gallon bucket stew, a little leak to keep my feet cool. Number 3 Earnhardt sticker on a souped up.
Yeah, I think there was some other interview I think I was reading about that, and in fact, that's how I put you and Trent together. I was like, oh, look at Hollywood.
Okay.
So in 2025, I know you're going to be at the Carolina Country Music Festival, correct?
We were just there this year.
Oh.
We have not heard next year's schedule yet, but hopefully we'll be back
Well, you might want to look because it has 2025 on there.
Do they really?
That's what I saw.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it.
Maybe I saw it wrong, but I could have sworn it said 2025. And they don't, and I don't even know where I got that from, but doing my, digging online. So where do you go from here? What are we going to, what's the plan?
Well, we are, meeting with lots of industry folks right now. Just a showcase in Nashville a couple weeks ago. We're continuing to release music every 6 to 8 weeks, and we're actually working towards a full album right now. So we're just full steam ahead, writing, recording, playing shows, just traveling around and, just kind of full steam ahead right now. And, honestly, I'm not, I'm kind of keeping an open mind. So I'm not, I don't want to be in the place where I'm like, I need a record deal or I need this or that. I just want to build this thing and continue to grow a fan base, continue to play shows and see how big we can get it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are. Just full steam ahead, writing, recording, playing.
If there's one thing that you could tell everybody that most people would not know about you, but they might be shocked, what would it be?
About me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man, you're throwing tough questions on me now. Probably that I'm a lot more goofy than most people think I would be in real life. I don't know. I think a lot of people meet me and think I'm some like serious, I don't know. But yeah, I'm.
Your wife would say you were goofy?
Probably so. No telling what my wife would say about me. You don't want her on here.
Maybe that's what I should have asked.
Yeah, I don't know. Things people don't know about me. Man, that's a tough one. I used to growing up, I used to go on the snake hunt every year and catch snakes and for this place that keeps snakes and alligators, and that was kind of a weird thing growing up. So most people probably don't know that.
Yeah, I would say that most people probably don't know that, and you're right. That's different. You're right.
Yeah.
So have you ever been out on the lake or a pond or and had to be towed in by your fishing line tow rope?
Had to be towed in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, as a kid, more times than I can count. My parents always had these boats when I was growing up, and I feel like every time we ever went out on the lake, they would break down. That's the kind of boats I grew up on. Like, in my mind, your boat's not supposed to make it home. That's just the way it is. But yeah, we've gotten towed back.
That's actually a
Hollywood
Hollywood story on you. So y'all didn't have any paddles, and so had to go home on the fishing line tow rope.
That sounds about right. Well, yeah, I've been in that situation plenty of times as a kid.
Well, congratulations on your new release in a few days, and congratulations on the baby on the way. And I have enjoyed watching your process this whole time because it has been a while since you were standing there, barefoot, flip-flops, beer bottle, playing a guitar. But I have enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to seeing where you're going.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to do this today, and can't wait to hear it. And let me know when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talking South Carolina podcast. Why not check out our website at talkingsouthcarolina.com and follow us on social media. You can subscribe to the show on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and on your favorite podcast apps. For information about being a sponsor on the show and on the website, contact us at area code 803-386-9885 or email us at angela@talkingsouthcarolina.com. This episode has been brought to you by the friendly folks at Giraffe Marketing. Find out how at giraffemarketingllc.com.
I'm gonna be the best version of me. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, roar like a lion, and I ain't even trying. No, no, no.